Now, when we talk about linear functions, one thing that we can also discuss is the concept of linear regression. Sometimes you'll be given points that don't exactly line up perfectly. This is known as a scatter diagram or scatter plot. And what we're talking about is the correlation between two variables. So you may have an X variable and a Y variable, and you may have a bunch of points. Now, depending on how closely those points line up, you can have something that is a very strong correlation or strong correlation or weak correlation. It could be positive or negative. Again, whether it's going upwards from left to right or downwards from left to right, you could either have a strong or weak correlation. So you'll see the different variations. The further the points are spread out, the weaker the correlation. The more clustered the points are together from left to right, the stronger the correlation. Now, within regression analysis, there is a term that we refer to as the correlation coefficient. The correlation coefficient, also known as the R value, will tell us the strength of the correlation. So yes, you may have a visual representation of all the points looking like they're very close together, but that would be just estimating. The correlation coefficient will tell us more accurately how strong a correlation is. Now, we will be using our calculator to calculate the correlation coefficient today. So make sure you have your graphing calculator ready when we do that example. But you can see a strong positive correlation is very close to an R value of 1. When it gets weaker, it gets closer and closer to 0. So you can see the range here. So you can determine how strong, if it's perfect, very strong. If it's perfect positive correlation, the R value is 1. And it actually is exactly a linear function like the ones we've already seen. But as it gets weaker, it goes to very strong, moderate, weak, and then you can determine that there's no correlation if it gets really close to 0. And the same thing for negative correlation. A negative correlation is actually very close to an R value of -1. And similar to positive correlation, the negative correlation will get closer and closer to 0, indicating that you have no correlation. And once again, I'll repeat, we will be using our calculator and I'll be showing you the steps that you can use to calculate the correlation coefficient and to calculate the equation of a line to represent scattered data points.